Are you ready to count to 100 in Portuguese? Dois, três, vamos lá! First, let's count from 1 to 10. Dois, três, quatro, cinco, seis, sete, oito, nove, 10. The numbers 1 and 2 actually have two versions. One can be or uma, and 2 can be dois or duas. These are the masculine and feminine forms of the numbers, and they need to agree with the gender of the noun that's being counted. So, for example, we'd say limão, but uma taça, and dois cachorros, but duas maçãs. It's also important to note that and uma can mean a as well as one, since Portuguese doesn't distinguish between these two words like English does. So, limão can mean one line or simply a line, depending on the context. One thing you'll often hear people saying is the word meia instead of seis when reading a list of numbers. Meia isn't used in Portugal, only in Brazil, and it comes from the phrase meia dúzia, meaning half a dozen. It's just a little language quirk, like how in English we often say O instead of 0 when reading out phone numbers, or niner instead of 9 on old walkie-talkies. Now let's count a little higher. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. The numbers 16, 17, and 19 do vary between Brazil and Portugal. I just said the Brazilian version, but Portuguese people would say dezesseis for 16, dezessete for 17, and dezenove for 19. In both versions, notice that the numbers 16 to 19 are formed using the same simple pattern. Dezesseis is just the combination of dez, 10, and seis, 6, with an e or and in the middle. The only thing you need to remember is that Portuguese people changed the e to an a, and that dezoito is a slight exception because it drops the e entirely. Once you've learned the first 19 numbers in Portuguese, it's easy to learn the next 80. All you need to do is remember multiples of 10. 20, trinta, quarenta, cinquenta, sessenta, setenta, oitenta, noventa. These aren't hard to learn, especially once you realize that from 40 upwards, they all end in enta, and all of them except for 20 have an obvious relationship with their root. Now, let's fill in the gaps. To say a number like 43, you need to take multiples of 10. So in this case, quarenta, and the small number, which in this case is três, and you join them together with e. So you get quarenta e três. Here, unlike with dezessete, you write the numbers as 3 separate words, and all Portuguese speakers say it the same without any e to a exceptions. And remember that for all numbers which end in 1 or 2, you need to use the correct form of or uma or dois or duas. So let's practice a few. How would you say 21 if you're talking about a masculine thing? 21. What about 32 of a feminine thing? 32. And what's 58? 58. And how about 75? 75. This pattern is the same for all numbers from 20 to 99. So all you need to know is that 0 is zero, which shouldn't be hard to remember, and 100 is cem. And now you know how to count from 0 to 100 in Portuguese. Please like this video and subscribe, as we have more Portuguese language videos on the way. Muito obrigado, boa sorte, e até logo. One more thing. I like to learn languages with podcasts, because then you get to experience how the language is used by native speakers. Portuguese Pod 101 is my favorite podcast for learning Portuguese, and it's one I've used a lot. It goes all the way from beginner level to advanced. If you're serious about learning numbers, Portuguese Pod 101's basic bootcamp has activities so you can practice your counting from 0 to 100. There's a free trial if you use our link in the description below.